It's another side that like wants to take more, but wants to go that one more round. Because like going that one more round when you don't think you can, that's what makes all the difference in your life. You know what I mean?
Welcome to another episode of One More Round, the Rocky Series podcast. We're covering Rocky V. This is episode 2. Great numbers for the first episode of Rocky V. I think Rocky V, despite whatever people's opinion on it, I think it's a fascinating discussion to listen to. I think we saw the same thing with Going the Distance podcast. The Rocky V numbers, I think, were our highest numbers for all the seasons.
I have a theory.
Okay, yeah, please.
It's people's least favorite, and there's the most problems with it. And as humans, we kind of like to hear or make fun of. So I think there's an element of that. It's the easiest to make fun of.
Everyone loves a car crash.
Yeah.
When you drive by.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. Because when you cover the first Rocky film, even the first 4, but they all have their unique whatever. But I even find that with the first film, it's a near perfect film. So it's kind of like it's a lot of, as Doug likes to say, ball washing. It's a lot of ball washing. So when we get to the 5th Rocky film, it definitely has the most like, I can't believe this is happening, or this is this, or this is that. There's so many discussion points, and today will be no exception. Secondly, welcome both Kyle and Katie. We're getting right into it, guys. You're my co-host. You're the best. I can't do the show without you. We are doing the next episode without Katie, though. And she's going on another vacation, if you can believe it. Boy, I tell you.
It's just a weekend.
Well, I understand. I know you're not gone for 2 months, but it's just, we record behind the curtain. We record on the weekend. So, yeah, unfortunately, like Katie said, things do happen on the weekends. But,
well, we all know where your priorities are, Katie.
Yeah, no kidding.
We have to talk Tulsa King because did you guys know there was an event in Denver about Tulsa King? So Sly was actually here. Oh, yeah. Sly, you can come in.
Oh, I was going to say.
I'm kidding. I was going to, but I was like, I wonder if I could convince them that Sly spent the night.
Did he violate you like a parking meter? Or?
Yes. Yes.
It only cost you $0.25, though. Oh, man. Okay, so before we get into our Rocky V coverage today, and before Katie's email, we did get a shout out from one of our fellow podcast show hosts on the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network. So if you're listening to the show on the standalone feed of One More Round, we're part of the network, the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network, the host of the Dammit Podcast. You don't mind to indulge me just for 3 minutes, guys? I want you to hear this.
I listened to it.
All right, listen, so we're back on the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network. You know, it's funny, as I was driving this morning to the last of the Action Hero Podcast Network studios, my ID must have been rescinded. I messaged Ryan Rebalkin, the CEO of the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network, and I said, hey, Ryan, good news. We're going to be recording a new Van Dammit. He sent back a surprise emoji.
That's Moody talking there. And then you hear Gru make a sound in the background like, shh, like me doing a surprise face. I always do surprise faces. They're kind of my go-to. I don't know why. I like that. I just like the way that emoticon looks, the like, whoo face. But they haven't done a podcast on their network in about almost 2 months. So when he announces they're doing an episode, I'm doing, oh, wow, surprise, You're doing an episode. Sure. But it's more of a happy surprise. So fair enough. It might seem like I can't believe it's taken so long surprise. So then you hear like Gru in the background go, shh, kind of scoff.
A thumbs up, not a heart surprise emoji.
I listened to their latest.
So that's Gru now talking. He's going to go in to say that he's listened to our first episode of Rocky V. But I just want to comment again, Moody. Again, I did the surprise face. It was a happy surprise face. So it's better than a heart. It's better than a thumbs up.
What do you mean a happy surprise face? There's just a surprise face. Right?
I know, but my emotion given it was, yay! I can't believe it's happening, surprise face.
The conundrum came from they took it as one way and Ryan meant it as a different way.
That's right.
I've gotten the surprise face from Ryan on some stuff where I'm like, what does this mean? is this like, did I fuck up? Did I say something wrong? But then it's like, and then I realized the context.
Like, no, you're just like, wow.
I apologize. Part of it, I think, is 50%. I like the way the face looks. And so I probably use it haphazardly. So that's my fault. I apologize. I apologize to the Van Dammit crew.
People on the spectrum do have a hard time with facial cues. So you might think that's a happy face when it's a surprise face.
Oh, very true. Okay. So Rocky 5 Rockies have a hard time with it. Roger that. Okay. We'll continue with they listened to our first episode, at least Gru did.
They, their first episode of their Rocky 5 retrospective, because I am a huge fan of dissecting Rocky 5. I love talking about it. I love talking about the movie and the different approaches. So I like listening to them talk about it. I've asked to ask.
Okay, so thank you, Gru. He says he likes hearing us talk about it. So with every compliment has to come the pound of flesh. So here comes the pound of flesh right now.
Asked for us to come on, but the invitation is still just kind of dangling.
It's all right. Don't worry about that.
Only we had an opening for someone to come on the show in the next week or so.
Kyle read the bit. He read the bit. That's very true. So, of course, I reached out to Evan, who's moody. I reached out to Evan on Facebook Messenger, and I said, dude, I first wanted to make sure, like, is this real heat or fake heat, as they say in the wrestling terms? Because I'm like, I love you guys. He goes, no, we're just fooling around. Of course they are. The invitation was extended to Evan and Moody to come on as the replacements. It takes two of them to replace one of Katie's. So
there it is. Yes,
the exchange rate is 2-1. Yes.
Somebody is going to have to bring the feminine energy because there's going to be 4 dudes.
Feminine energy, I'd give that to Gru. He'll bring that for you. So, okay. So, Kyle, you'll get to meet them. You say you don't know who they are. That's fine. They're great guys. They do the Van Dammit podcast on the network. I really enjoy their banter. Enjoy their friendship, and they're a fun listen. So I wouldn't have invited them on the network had I not liked them. So welcome, and that's the open invitation. So hopefully they accept and their time schedule works out. They have been officially invited. We're just awaiting an answer. Okay, Katie, you've got a lovely email for us.
This is from Albert.
This isn't Fat Albert, is it? Like the cartoon character?
No, I think he's Skinny Albert. I think he's Now I want to say to Albert, he has been listening to the show forever. I believe he's been a Patreon supporter, which I appreciate forever. So Albert, he's just one of the quiet supporters.
I didn't realize who you were, bro. I didn't.
Yeah, Kyle, as someone who's listened to us this long knows your humor by now. Keep that in mind. So
I wonder if he's like Scandinavian, just based on his last name or something.
I think he is
Hendrickson.
I think he is European. I could be wrong. Let us know, Albert. But he's been along, like I'm talking years. So he's been here since the beginning. Yeah.
Oh no, he's not. He isn't. Well, maybe his ancestors.
There you go.
He says hello from Missouri. So
that's right.
Not.
Did you say Missouri is the Scandinavia of Middle America?
They absolutely do not. They absolutely. It's not. Okay. He says, I've enjoyed this podcast for years. One aspect I find particularly fun is your discussion on the in-universe and out-of-universe chronology of the series. I know the crew has faced many challenges with Rocky V in relation to Robert, so let me share my theory about the Rocky V timeline. I personally believe Rocky V spans a long period of time. At the very least, the movie would have taken place over a year, considering the Christmas scenes near the end. Since Rocky IV ended on Christmas, my theory actually extends the timeline further for several reasons. First, the movie likely begins in January 1986, outside the shower scene, of course, as the previous movie ended on December 25th, 1985. The legal drama and the auctioning of the house probably took some time. More importantly, the number of fights Tommy has seems unrealistic if the movie is confined to a single year. I believe the events take place over the course of 4 or 5 years. This would account for the numerous fights and the fact that the Balboas are watching Christmas Vacation on TV, a movie released in 1989. Let's assume the Balboa household splurged for HBO, which they wouldn't have at this point, but I like it. Splurged for HBO to watch boxing. It's reasonable that Christmas Vacation could have aired in December 1990, with the street fight happening later, possibly in early 1991. Even Duke couldn't book a title fight overnight. As for the Robert age paradox, my explanation is that Robert is younger at the beginning of the film, but by the end, he reaches his rightful 1990 age. Obviously, we don't see his age progression since he's played by the same actor throughout the movie. Much of the plot revolves around him growing up, so we just don't see it physically. In short, the actor appears older than Robert until the latter half of the film. Sorry for the long email, but you've been asking for them. Until next time, Albert.
Oh, I love it.
I think that is a generous explanation.
Sure.
I don't think that that's what actually happened. Like, they weren't thinking about that.
Albert's being generous with what they've provided us, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's apologetics, basically, right?
Yeah.
Apologize.
Yeah.
I will argue the one thing that Albert brings up, I think we've talked about before. I'm not sure if it was Katie or Kyle or if it was Ruben or who knows, one of the myriad of different hosts I had in the first. I think it might have been you, Kyle, when they're talking about or when they're showing the montage that Tommy's fights in the ring, that there had to be a longer span of time between fights, especially with the trajectory. He's fighting in the club, then he's moving on to Madison Square or whatever it is. When there have been like at least a couple years, maybe even 3 years was a reasonable time with the amount of people he's fight. Am I wrong about that?
We ended up looking up some examples of famous boxers when they started their career. Like, I think we looked at Muhammad Ali. The conclusion was early in your fighting career, you tend to take fights way more frequently than later. Okay. The champion of the world isn't going to be fighting 10 times a year. That's just insane. I would say that, the Tommy thing, the idea that he had that many opponents in a year is probably crazy. But Mike Tyson, for example, who I will argue later on in the episodes is Tommy Gunn is based off of.
Mm-hmm.
Fair. Yeah.
He was having like a fight a month. And one of the reasons why, and Tommy would have this same reason, is that these fights would be like a round or less. It wouldn't really be a long fight. Like, he'd punch this guy out.
Right, that's true.
Very quickly. So it's like there's no wear and tear to his body or anything like that. As long as he maintains a decent training camp, like, he could go like multiple fights a month.
That's true. Know? If the fights are quick, he's in and out. I mean, we saw when he beat Union Kane at the end of the film, he was able to go with Rocky toe to toe for a while in the street. So he wasn't that winded from that fight. It was the same night he fought 2 fights, if you think about it. So
it's true, but when you're planning a fight, you don't know. I mean, unless he was so confident in his abilities to knock someone out in a month.
Yeah, there's probably a part of that, though. There could have been a part of that. He just knew that he was destroying. The history has shown that he's going through people when they see the next opponent still the same type of fighter. Like, I can get that guy too. So
there's probably like 1 or 2 fights in advance is planned. So it's like it might be contingent on like, okay, well, if this fight goes really poorly, we may have to delay the next one. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but to his point, though, yes, Tommy's fighting timeline, that does seem quite short. Like, no one goes from a no-one club fighter to fighting the champion in a year unless it's like some kind of freak luck like Rocky did in the very first movie or something like that. I also agree that the process of foreclosing on the Stallones and in their bankruptcy and everything like that would get drawn out a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, there'd be a ton of shit going on. They'd be going after their accountant. It'd be in court forever. They would probably, in reality, negotiate a lot of that debt away. Like, it depends. Like, it's hard to say. The part that it bothered me, maybe about his email, Robert did rightfully age between 85 and 90, but they can't use a different actor. Sure, you can. You could have another actor who's a little kid who runs up, and then it's like 2 years later, and then they show Robert. Like, there's a reason you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You're right that that would be an easy fix then, or the 5 years later title card that I talked about. But I will say this, we're going to see it right now coming up in today's episode. We're going to see young Robert or / young Sage Stallone playing. He does play the role pretty good. If you just watch the way he acts a little bit youngerish than he does later in the film when he's quote unquote an older kid with a girlfriend and at the Christmas time wearing the earring. Like, I'll give Sage Stallone a little bit of credit. I think he is not a problem in this film. I don't think.
No.
Do you get what I'm saying though? With the childlike behavior he has, I think it's done a little bit on purpose.
It's because he's very sheltered.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
I'm being apologetic.
Yeah, you are.
And I'm trying to add a little bit to Robert's paradox here, but the idea that Robert was playing a younger version of himself, as well as the shelter and naivety. Yes, you're right.
He wears the same jacket the whole time. So
I love how the fans of Rocky V. I love it. This is what's great.
We're like, let's make this fit.
I love Rocky V. I think it's part of the contrarian in me. As a young kid, I hated Rocky V. Like, I had like the same opinion most people do. But the more I watch Rocky V, the more I like it.
Rocky V is one of my least favorite, but for lots of reasons. But it's sweet to see Sly with his actual son.
Yes.
It's really sweet.
Okay, so Kyle, I know I edited out of the last episode that was public. Like if you saw our live stream, you would have heard Kyle kind of express a little bit of a hesitancy, to say the least, regarding the back and forth between, like we did for Rocky IV, because we kind of entered Rocky IV. It surprised even me how much of the back and forth we did between the two films, the director's cut and Rocky IV original cut. Now we have the same sort of dilemma. We have this work print versus the original cut. I'm proud of myself here. It's not perfect. But I have either put in scenes that were different. So you're going to see a scene, and then right away you're going to see the alternate cut right after. So it's kind of like an echo. Like they'll see the alternate version right away. And or I've also inserted deleted scenes that you've never seen before that were never into the original cut into one video file. So it plays like one movie.
I love that.
Okay,
I like
work.
that, and you're the boss of the podcast, so I'm just gonna go with you on this. Like, it's cool, and I
want you to be on board. I don't want to fight.
I am on board. I like the idea. But if I didn't, I'd still go with it. maybe under a little bit of protest.
I'm happy enough with it that what I'm going to do, because I'm only going to do it for each, kind of like segment. It takes a bit to do, but when you piecemeal it, it's not such a huge task by the end of the season. I will probably then put together. Someone said, release the Ryan directors, or what was the Ryan cut of Rocky V, whatever that hashtag was. I might then make it available for people to download at the end of the season, a big Rocky V cut, but it's not going to be a perfect. What I mean, so people are going to see original clips, then they're going to see the alternate, then they're going to see the insert. You're going to see it today. What I mean, but I think people might find this very interesting because there's scenes today, guys. You're going to get a kick out of. I'm telling you right now. I'm excited for you to see some of these scenes.
Bonus material on Patreon, Ryan. Don't give that shit away for free. You put some effort into it.
That's tough because I'm showing it right now for free. That's sweet. No, yeah, that's a good point. So here we go. So we're going to start up right away. You'll see the first two cuts that I put in are very hard to tell how it's different, but we'll talk about it. You'll see. Okay, here we go. I'm excited.
No, really, it's great. Yo, look at this place. I swear I ain't never leaving this place again. You know that? I swear. Hey, would you like to dance? Huh? Hey, yo. Look at it. Holy moly, look at this house. I swear I ain't never leaving this place again, Adrian. Hey, would you like to dance? How about a homecoming dance with your old man?
So they're right there. Just an alternate quick little take. He called it the home, house. They just changed the dialogue a little bit. It's almost similar. It took me a second to look. Is there a difference there? There was a difference. He called it, look at this place and look at this house.
I think he also said holy moly in the second one, which I find not cool. I don't know. It's like weird hearing him say that.
It's 1990.
Look at this. I didn't notice the scaffolding there. I guess they got some rentals going on right now while they were away in Russia, maybe?
Yeah, that's the accountant stripping the house for building material to sell off.
Well, yeah, they don't know that yet, but it's coming.
He's like, hey, Adrian, have you noticed the scaffolding here?
It's the roof. It looks like the roof is being redone.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this house was just really being worked on in real life, but
probably.
You would think they would pull that away for the film. Like, get 3 crewmen on it, pull away the scaffolding, film this 5-second scene, put the scaffolding back.
But but then it's like the roof looks up, and it'd be like, why is that fucked up? And now they're scaffolding, like, oh, okay, they're working on the roof.
I don't know what happened again, because Ryan, you were like, why not just have a card come up saying 5 years later? I don't know. The attention to detail here is missing.
Yeah. Why do you have a house where the roof is getting worked on to film your thing?
Exactly.
Why is the house different than the one you left in Rocky IV? It's like, it's a different home.
Exactly. It's like, it's stupid. And it's like, okay, I'm sure they're like, when they negotiated this, they're like, oh, close to filming. They're like, hey, why is the roof being worked on? And they're like, well, we just did that, but now we don't have time to get a new house. We're just going to have to deal with this, even though we didn't agree to the roof being worked on here for filming, but it sucks, and let's just do it anyways.
Mama San, which is Kyle's mom, welcome to the show. She said, what happened to all the copper wiring? Paulie probably took it. He knows about those things.
Yeah. There's a place he goes where you can exchange copper wire for booze directly. It's not even, you didn't have to get money to buy booze later. It's just X amount of pounds of copper per 4 roses, and that's it.
It's cold.
Hey, come on, I won't go home then.
Oh, don't be silly. It's cold.
I'll go out. I'll warm you up, young lady. Come on, have a dance. Hurry up, the music's almost over. Doom, doom, doom. You like the song?
You should rest.
Yeah, I know.
I'm tired. Come on.
Oh, yeah? Well, maybe I'll take you upstairs and violate you like a parking meter.
It cost you $0.25.
Oh, yo, Adrian. Why'd you not talk dirty like that?
I think it's so cute.
I love the cost a quarter thing. It is odd for Rocky because you never hear Adrian speak like that, but it's kind of also refreshing at the same time that you get to see another side of Adrian that you otherwise wouldn't. It is weird that they're saying that in front of their own son, though.
Well, and he's like, what the hell's wrong with Dad?
Yeah. Is Adrian in denial about that, do you think?
Right now, well, they haven't had any medical tests officially because those are coming later. She's just excited that Rocky has indeed retired. So she's just thrilled about their life together. At this moment, she's ecstatic that from now on, Rocky's no longer fighting. We have all this money. He's home.
Yeah.
We're home. She's giddy. She's giddy, and she's a little horny, you know?
Yes,
Well, that,
yes. Yeah.
I would be
Now
too if I were her.
She can weaken his legs at will. It seems like Paulie knows, Robert knows. And
I think
and guess
Adrian knows too. It's a
she's just
nervous,
happy.
excited.
Yeah.
Like internally, I think she knows, but she's like, oh, I'm just going to kind of go with it for now.
She's just happy.
Took a few hard shots. I think you tell better jokes than me, Adrian.
So even Paulie's like, yeah, he's been through a lot. He's tired, jet lag. His head's been punched around. If he's acting a little bit weird right now, give it some time. Maybe he'll settle down by Rocky Balboa, the 6th film. He'll be different again. Just wait.
Yo, did I hear somebody call for their old man? Did you do this? Hey, sleep time, kid, okay?
Dad, did you know that your bones grow 3 times as fast during the night?
Now, that's actually fascinating and probably true. I didn't Google it. However, I have a 12-year-old son, so about Robert's age here in the film, give or take, whatever timeline you're thinking of. So he literally, yesterday, my wife swears that they acknowledge, like she and him did like some sort of like, oh, wow, you're growing so fast like the night before, and that he grew an inch overnight. She was swore by, he's now taller than my wife overnight. He's 12. So it is possible to grow a very short amount of time in a few months for especially for boys at the age of 12.
I didn't know that, but I heard something like that once. Is that me?
Oh, yeah, that's you.
Excellent. Now, is that me? Right?
Yeah.
Oh, we was fishing, right?
Yeah,
That's beautiful. Look at the tent. You know, the fish was a lot bigger, if I recall.
Actually, that was a lot smaller.
Well, what's the difference? Okay, and what's this? This is really good. I can't believe
That's just a dog.
it's a dog.
That's about it.
That's a beautiful dog.
Yeah.
You paint the fleas on there too. Anyway, come on, hit the bed. Hit the bed.
Super cool fish tank, like in the wall, though. I always thought that was so cool.
Oh, yeah, that's an amazing little thing there. So the extra scene, of course, people hear the audio different. If they're listening to this, they'll hear the audio difference. The higher audio is the work print. So it's just extra scene of him talking about the dog that Robert drew, more animals, other things. I get it. Kind of get why they took that out. It doesn't add too much, just continuing conversation about further artwork that they did that Robert did.
I would not want that fish tank in my room as a 12-year-old.
You wouldn't.
I would not want something see-through behind my bed that people could look in to see what's going on in there.
I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
Is this see-through? And I thought it was in the wall, but not.
And look where his bed is, so it's like he can't see who could see in. And so if you're laying in bed like that, it's a young man. I would not want that situation.
In Rocky IV, he had like a full-size bed or a queen bed when he was a small child. And now that he's bigger, he has a twin bed.
I never caught that it was a see-through tank. I thought the tank ended, but you couldn't look into his room through the water. I didn't realize. So we're certain about that. That's not a mirror.
I don't know if I'm certain. I just presume that's how it works. Like I'm trying to see, can I see through it right now? I think I can. Like I don't see a solid background on the back there. So
I'm going with mirror or it's but I just never considered it because that's kind of cool, really, that both sides of the wall could see the tank. That's kind of a cool idea, but you're right. The privacy would then be the issue, but yeah, interesting.
Well, that was all that kind of thing was cool and rich people-esque in the 90s, like a fish tank that could be seen on both sides.
Also, how do you get into the fish tank? Like usually you go through the top, right? In this case, there is no top.
Maybe it's on the other side of the wall.
Yeah. But then that's also like the hallway. You're walking in the hallway and there's, I don't know. Obviously it must work, but.
It has to be professionally serviced. There's some way.
With Rocky's Millions, you're paying. Yeah, if I had this, I would definitely have someone who took care of this at the same time. Absolutely.
It's time for you to get healthy and everything. This is great how you do this. I don't know where you learned this. But you know, only I can do is draw blood.
Did you catch that?
Ooh, I like that.
I could draw blood. That is pretty funny.
So they took that out, and maybe it's too on the nose for First Blood. They drew First Blood, not me. That's all they took out was the only thing I can draw is blood. But also ... Sly does paint in real life, and he often paints very kind of dark, bloody type paintings. I would say some of them have been pretty. I would say graphics artwork because it's like this. How would you call it? Like Picasso type looking artwork.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like. But anyways, so it's a combination of Sly does paint in real life. And he also was in First Blood. And in that movie, he says, they drew First Blood, not me. So he says, all I could do is draw blood. It's very interesting. So anyways, fun little
But also
scene.
as a boxer, you draw blood. Like,
draw blood, literally draw blood.
yeah, literally draw blood.
Oh my goodness. So much stuff on that one line.
Yeah.
I never even thought of that. That's amazing. That's right. He draws blood from his opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Interesting. But they took it out. Maybe for that reason, there's just too much to talk about.
There's something out of this thing. There's something out of this thing comes out of your fingers. Oh my God. Oh my God. Who's this?
Okay, this Rocky franchise in general is pretty family friendly. Like in general, it's just a pretty family friendly film, like franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only thing is like the boxing. Yeah, if someone's really, really conservative, like,
sure,
I don't want to see my children watch.
But the boxing is in the realm of sports.
Yeah.
It's a real sport that exists. It reminds me of Titanic. It's just a funny father son moment, but it's oddly like even if she was wearing a bikini, the fact that we see.
Well, it also proves that he's not 9.
Why that fish tank cannot be there.
Yeah.
This guy is.
There are a lot of things in 5. We start out with a naked man in the shower, and then there's a lot more sexual innuendo. I want to violate you like a parking meter. Where'd you learn to talk dirty? I hear the redhead in the front comes real cheap. Like there's a lot more.
Doesn't this have the a higher rating than the other Rocky ones?
No, I don't think so.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's PG-13.
And the other ones are all PG?
Yeah.
Really?
I'd say this is kind of a return to Rocky 1. Even though Rocky 1 did not have all this stuff, Rocky 1 in general was a darker film. Like specifically with like the domestic violence and things like that. You had parts of that film that like were not like all bubblegum bullshit like Rocky 3 and 4.
I gotta say a bad word. Hua.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's like Rocky 5 is not only returning to that, but is going beyond.
Is Madame Dupont a whole?
In 1976, PG-13 rating was not yet available either.
96?
In 76, the original Rocky.
When did it become available?
I think it was after Temple. I hear it's Temple Doom pushed it because Temple Doom was PG, but because of the heart ripping out scene, all that stuff, that was one film that was investigated as, this is too much. We got to.
I think 84. I think 80 on one of the movies that I did for Retromade was the first PG-13 movie. I want to say
Temple Doom, but maybe it's another one.
I want to say it was like Red Dawn or something.
Yeah, those early 80s films where they're starting to pushing that envelope, like, okay, like this isn't a hard R, but look, there's got to be something, which is fair. There's got to be something a little bit in between. It's not really R-rated like The Godfather, let's say, but it's also not a kid's film. So what did we give it? Yeah.
We forgot trivia today.
Mm-hmm. I thought of that earlier too.
Maybe we'll just do it at the end of the I just remembered right now.
No, Katie said she remembered her.
Well, I did, but I didn't want to interrupt because we had already started
it's fine.
Film.
What we can do is we'll do the question answer at the end. Like we'll be honest with our answers, score as we go with the answer. Okay. Yeah, no, thanks for the reminder. I was just so excited for my Ryan cut that
it's very good. Well done.
I would say for something like this, I would be comfortable, depending on my kid's level of maturity, around 9 or 10.
Yeah, that's
that age or beyond. I think is appropriate. Before that, it's not like I'd be freaked out if they saw this, but I'd be like, I don't know if this is their jam. If you're like a 7-year-old or something,
it's a drawing. It's not an actual woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boys, cartoons.
You could easily beat off to this if you.
Easy.
I just mean like from a rating perspective.
Pre-cell phone? Pre-cell phone? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. This generation probably couldn't beat off to a drawing.
No.
Because they're spoiled with like infinite content all over the place. Back in our day, it was the thrill of the hunt to find things like this.
I will admit, though, Madame Dupont's face looks a little haggard. I think that's...
Actually, I was thinking that earlier.
How old do you think she is? Probably 55, 60, maybe?
Well, her boobs are perky still.
He's giving the fantasy to the boobs, but he's being more realistic with the face.
Yeah, he hasn't seen the boobs.
No, she's in her 40s. Like, it's just, he's not good at drawing faces.
With Madame Dupont, we love you.
You would not say Dupont. You wouldn't say the T at the end.
Dupont.
Dupont.
Right. He's still learning French. He's still learning.
Yeah, French is annoying, I gotta say.
That's Madame Dupont, my French teacher.
Really?
I gotta go to parent-teacher conference.
Yeah, she was French, sure. I wouldn't show this to your mother because she don't understand French too good.
And that's great. And this is where we get to, yes, as far as a father-son conversation outside the movie realm, this is a very healthy conversation. He doesn't shame his son. He understands as a man. The son is exploring sexuality and fantasy. This is all very healthy and normal. And the fact he says, you might want to keep this semi-hidden from your mother. She doesn't understand French too good. He's kind of like, it's old-fashioned, but he's saying, look, I'm a guy, you're a guy. As a man, I know what you're going through as a young boy. If you don't want to be embarrassed in front of your mom, just maybe keep this to yourself, which is also fair. Like
unless your parents are assholes, your parents are probably a lot more understanding than you give them credit for.
They should be, and I think we all seem to be well-adjusted people, adults now. I assume we had an okay childhood, and Kyle's mom is watching, so Kyle will say that he had a great childhood.
I think
my childhood was the best. My parents did nothing wrong ever.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So that's a great line. I like that line. I think it's very well written, actually, just saying, your mom doesn't understand French too well. I like that. It's a funny way of saying, we'll just keep it private.
Better cover that one up. Well, chap, it's bedtime. Hey, you know what? I know some French talk. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Madame.
Madame who?
Madame Foot's caught in the door.
That's an old joke.
What do you want from me? I'm trying, I don't know all the good things, Hey, whoa, what's this?
What?
Look what I found in your ear. Russian money. Money ears. All right.
Brought back a souvenir from Russia. That's cute.
I kind of don't think I ever noticed that it was Russian money. I thought it was just
a big coin. Yeah. You should have said, "Are you going to violate this with
this
my mom?"
Is this the same quarter you gave mom?
I'm already a little annoyed how Rocky is, like his mannerisms, the way he like.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Like this a little too much.
I know.
Over. Yeah. It's starting. What are we? 5 minutes into this, and I'm like, ugh. I don't know.
This is peak R word part. Is this? I don't know why. But this scene in particular, he's very, I think I will chalk it up. He's giddy that he's home. He's giddy to be with his son. So he's being extra. Look, I could be goofy and silly with my kids and I'm not R word. So I think he's just a combination. He's just a little bit giddy and he's being more punchy and top of being giddy about being home. I think those two things, because it does taper down a little bit as the movie goes on.
The way he does that thing with his arms and hands, it's like overly.
Because he does this. Like, let me think about that joke. He does this weird thing with this. Yeah, he's very,
Yeah.
Madame. Yeah, it's not very well delivered. This did not get an Oscar nomination scene.
Anyway, listen, kid, you gotta get some sleep. Look what I found in your ear. Russian money. Yeah, you got a little bank brain there, don't you? Isn't that neat?
Do I have any more than that?
Oh, let me see. No, I'm sorry. You got some corn, artichokes, and some juju fruits. And a rump roast. All kinds of things in there. Anyway, you better get some resting all day. Yeah.
So what did you think of that little extra scene there? Just more stuff in his ear.
I'm glad they cut that out.
Yeah, I do like the line, he has a brain bank. Or bank.
Yeah,
brain.
I like that. It's just when you start going into all the different things, like once you hit rump roast, I was for sure out.
Yeah, it's not
Like, I was
funny.
probably on my way out before, but the rump roast was like, that was the final nail in the coffin.
I guess it's a part of me. I know, Kyle, you're a dad too, but I love that I embarrass my kids. I think I love
humiliating
it.
my kids is like the greatest privilege ever. Well, I can't humiliate my son; he's cool. But like
my daughter in particular, my daughter in particular.
No, I am a disgrace.
Dad, shut up.
To Albert's point, Rocky's treating him like a 9-year-old.
I think that's
you
what we're
wouldn't do
supposed to
that
do.
with a
I know.
14-year-old kid, would you? I don't know.
Money in the ear. I do that with my daughter.
Yeah, but the way he's like
hear you.
overly doing it, I don't know. There's something a little.
No, that's a good call. I agree. We have a 14-year-old type pictures being drawn, but then we have 9-year-old behavior tricks.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I feel like he's 5 different ages. It depends on the scene. I love it.
Today when you said having me was like being born again,
Yeah.
what did you mean?
What I mean? When you come up like I did, and you got like 3 square meals of 0 a day. You know what I mean? You got the A side of life and the B side of life. I'm like on the B side, but you got all the breaks. So
obviously, this is so biographical. We've got Sly was raised poor. His kid is not. Rocky was raised poor. His kid is not. This is literally Sly talking to Robert or Sage for real. This is him saying, hey, man, you got all the breaks. That's good. I'm glad I can give this to you. I get to live life through you, a life that I didn't get to have growing up.
This is the paradox of parenting now. This is the really, really hard part, I find. I don't know about you, Ryan, like in terms of your kid's socioeconomics compared to your own as a kid. My childhood was fine. Like I wasn't like in poverty or anything, but my kids definitely got more extras than I did.
Oh yeah.
And they get like way more travel and way more stuff like that. Like my kids are doing horse lessons and like I wouldn't have any of that shit as
my daughter is right now to horse as we speak.
Yeah.
She's right now to horse lesson.
You want your kids to have more than you did, and you want like you have this this desire to make your kids' life easy. That can be problematic too. Going without and like having difficulty, and that builds character. And you don't want to deprive them of that, but you also want them to have nice things. And so it's really tough.
I want the kids to have nice things.
Yeah. Right. With Robert, I think like he would have been a real wiener if he grew up in this situation here. He kind of is anyway, but like,
well, we see that in this movie, Kyle. He doesn't know how to.
He only deals with, prior to losing all his money, other really rich kids. Like he kind of lives in a bubble. And I'd say, to be fair, the kids in South Philly also live in a bubble because their experience isn't like a lot of other kids too. I get angry with my kids, and I have coworkers and stuff that are the same. They get pissed off that their kids are not more grateful for stuff. Like they take for granted that they get horse lessons because they don't, or like they get to travel to a bunch of places because they don't know any different. Oh man, if I would have had this when you were a kid, that'd be so awesome. And so like you expect them to be more grateful, but at the end of the day, they can't really be. Because it's like their perspective is limited. And so it's like someone like him, it's like, yeah, you're growing up on the A side, but it might not feel like it. Like there's a lot of really wealthy people that have a lot of stuff that are unhappy.
Well, yeah, don't they say once you're like, well, money doesn't create happiness. Well, it does to an extent. Once your bills are paid, like once you can live without worrying where your next meal comes from, beyond that point, more money doesn't equate to more happiness. But if you're living in abject poverty, money,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Life is hard. The struggles, human struggle is real, but I'm glad I have a home for my kids. I don't want them to go through the things I went through. I'm sorry if that makes me a bad father that I'm trying to get. My parents are great and my life was great, but yeah, they have more. We do more. They have more. They have more fun and freedom than I had growing up. And that's fine. I guess I'm a bad parent. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying to those who are listening who might think that way. I mean, I didn't have to volunteer that information. Of course, they learn chores. They do their homework, blah, blah, blah. Teach them respect and kindness and all that good stuff. They're good kids. And I got 2 adult children to prove I raised pretty good kids. They're fine. They're just normal humans. I always used to tell my kids my 2 adult children who are both have jobs, they're both married, they're doing fine. And I say, but when they were teenagers, I would tell them, enjoy being a teenager. Enjoy it. Like, because it ends. But I didn't make them feel guilty. I never berated them. I never got mad at them for playing video games. Never. I said, play video games. Enjoy it. Like, suck it up. because it's over very soon, and it
Be
is.
a kid.
It has been.
Yeah, be a kid.
And now they're adults. Like I might not be the best dad or have the most money or whatever it is, but at the very least, they'll never say, "Dad, you never taught me," or they should never resent me. I give them absolute freedom and let them make their own choices.
It's like if you resent me, I'll beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, right.
That's like I say to my kids.
Yeah, but I'm sure Kyle's the same. I think most parents try very hard, but the idea is like, if my kids ever need therapy, I'm hopefully not the discussion point. Is what I'm saying. like my dad was so goofy. Okay, he told me to clean up my room. He was so.
Yeah, you want to give your kids stuff. In Rocky, his point is going to be like he's kind of living vicariously through his son because his son gets to experience all these things. Like I enjoy my kids getting stuff I didn't have. Like I think it's cool. Like I don't resent them for having that, but it's like, it is a weird balance. Like you want to give them stuff and have them enjoy, but like you don't want to. I think in excess that causes problems.
Yeah, the balance is the key, probably. Yeah. All right. Do you mean to tell me that your children, the first person they punched out, wasn't you?
Don't spoil. We're gonna get there. Don't you? We're gonna get to that dinner scene.
I've been punched out by both of my kids, actually.
No, my children have never wanted to punch me. Knock on wood. I mean, I still got some younger ones who might want to punch me later, but the adult ones never want to punch me. But.
I see you having all these things that I didn't have. I live through your eyes. I enjoy it a little bit. It's like having it all over again. That's nice. You go to good schools, you eat good food, you got good kids to play with and all that stuff, and you got Miss Dupont, a French teacher. You got some speed bags there, boy. Wow. Anyway, you got.
Did you catch that? You got those speed bags there. Wow.
Even before he said that, he had this really goofy laugh.
No, that was like a full R-word laugh. He's like,
that was a full R-word. It starts off pretty good because he just starts listing the things that Robert gets to enjoy that he never got to enjoy.
Foreshadowing much like, hey, all these awesome things you have. Guess what?
You're about to lose them in 10 minutes. So true. That's very true. All right. So listen to how he describes Madame Dupont's boobs. He calls them speed bags. You can play, You got Miss Dupont, a French teacher. You got some speed bags there, boy. Wow. Anyway, you got some good things, and it's nice because I never had it. You do. So what I'm my math teacher was flat.
Trying to do is go piggyback on. I'm trying to live through your eyes, and even though I'm bigger than you, I feel like I'm small inside sometimes. Anyway, I love you, kid.
Oh my God! Thank you that didn't last longer. Holy shit! Was that ever good? Was that ever a good editing choice made? Whoever edited that is like. On there, but you didn't have to be on your game. You could be like half asleep and be like, nope, this isn't good.
It's interesting that the work print video quality is so poor. It was like very dark. And
if somebody could please email me and tell me how we got in possession of this thing, somebody knows. It's made the rounds. It does exist. I don't understand when they do the filming, right? So they're like I said, it's almost like somebody recorded a recording. That's the only thing I can think of. But it's all we have, folks. It's all we have. It's not horrible, but it's not great.
I also just noticed something. This is really nitpicky. They darken his eyes to show that he's been beaten up. So this is obviously not too long after he gets back from Russia. And in general, boxers look way, way worse a few days after the fight than like immediately after. But he was cut over his eye pretty badly. After the clubber beating, for example, he had like Band-Aids and shit on his face. But he doesn't have any of that on his face. Like they're just like, just paint his eyes. That's good enough.
Yeah.
Like, I would have liked to see. I would have liked to see some cut bandages there,
like the butterfly.
Yeah, exactly.
Things.
Maybe a couple stitches. Something, you know what I mean? Something.
Look at my face. Do I look like a raccoon?
A little bit.
Yeah, like Rocky Raccoon.
Yeah, a little bit.
No.
Yeah, you do a little.
Really? Hey, if you think I look bad, you ought to see the other guy's knuckles. Anyway, yo.
Drago, you fought him. Just say Drago. Well, I don't know why that's a bit of fan service, maybe, but just say you should see Drago's knuckles. I think that would have been cool to hear his name. Like we just saw, like the kid just watched the fight. Like anyway.
I like it. The other guy better, maybe, but
all right. I guess there's a bit of fan service I want. I just like how sometimes they talk about past things in these films, and then sometimes they don't even acknowledge it ever happened. It's a weird, yeah.
Good night. Okay,
Night.
kid.
Dad,
No,
glad you're home.
thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll play tomorrow, okay? Maybe you can show me your English teacher.
She's pretty hot, too.
Nah. Good night, kid.
That's cute.
Deserve the worst for what you did. Oh, it wasn't your money. It was Rocky's money.
You want to be
You
hysterical?
cost us everything.
Huh? That's what I need. It was a mistake. You think I thought this all was going to happen?
Don't you walk away from me.
All right, so here we go, folks. The most confused. I've watched the scene 4 or 5 times before going today's episode, and I still am confused how this happened. How Paulie still had any kind of ability to cause any financial burden.
He did not. I'm Paulie's vigorous fucking defender on this. Rocky's accountant, the little switcheroo, where he's saying, sign this form. It's a tax extension, meaning that you could pay your taxes past the tax deadline. Except the document was actually a document that gave the accountant permission to do anything he wants with the Balboa's finances.
When Paulie was given this form, why did he have the authority to make that decision or to even sign it? Or
Paulie didn't have any authority. It was just like the guy said, hey, Paulie, could you give this to Rocky? It's a tax extension. And then Paulie's like, okay. And then Paulie gives it to Rocky and says, hey, could you sign this tax extension? Rocky's like, okay.
But that's not made clear because it seems like Paulie signed it.
Yes, it sounds like Paulie made the decision.
I don't think they say, but that is what would have needed to happen, is that Paulie was like, hey, Rocky, just sign this tax extension. And neither of them read it.
You can't have someone else sign a power of attorney for you.
No. That's the whole point of power of attorney. You can't have your dad sign. Like if I've had your power of attorney with Becky when I go on deployment. So when I'm away from the home for 3 to 6 months, she can literally sell the house in my absence. That's the whole point. But my dad couldn't do that for us. Like it'd have to be me and her only because that's ours. Nobody else can be a third party to our power. That's the whole point of power of attorney.
The power of attorney, although it gives you power to sign on someone's behalf, you have to be acting in their interest.
Yeah, of course.
So like what he did, what this accountant did was illegal. Okay. You know, it's still a crime what he did. The power of attorney just made it so when these documents were signed, those signatures were accepted by the counterparty because of the power of attorney. But if you actually roll it back, that accountant really had no right to sign in the first place because he wasn't acting in Rocky's interest.
Okay. Within this movie, so I'm not even going to talk about what's real world. I need to know where in this movie they say, I'm confused where Paulie's at fault within the film rules. So just where they say
he's not.
As a viewer, we're led to believe Paulie effed up, and all this blame.
Yes, I know.
Adrian says we're here because of you.
Yeah, she says that, but there's nothing actually in the film that indicates he effed up.
Ryan, what she's saying is essentially, Paulie, you should have read this.
Yeah,
and I'm with Kyle. They should, Paulie's anger that he shows is actually valid.
I agree. Paulie didn't do anything wrong aside from, you know, maybe he should have read it, but so should have Rocky. Like this is on Paulie.
Rocky's responsible for his own shit.
Yes,
Rocky's. I'm going to say this though, is someone who used to work with a lot of wealthy clients. If your client trusts you, and a lot of them do, you can have them sign anything. And people sign stuff without reading stuff all the time.
Oh, all the time. We do it every day, all day.
With their devices.
Yeah. Terms and conditions and stuff.
And
it's
you
all
initial
legal.
little sections to show that you read this specific part. And in reality, people sign shit they shouldn't sign constantly. This is actually a pretty understandable situation because Rocky from South Philly with a grade 9 education, he doesn't know what enduring power, even if he read that enduring power of attorney document, he wouldn't know what he's reading.
Exactly. Nor would Paulie.
Yeah, exactly. Except like the only difference is Paulie has no like responsibility for managing, as you would agree, managing the Balboa's finances.
If anything, Adrian would have been the one.
Yes. You would think Adrian would be the one in charge of the money.
Yeah.
Because she's like the smartest person there by far and the most sensible. And she seems like the type who would probably actually read a contract.
Yeah, agreed.
So I know.
Yeah, the premise is really, 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 really weak.
Yeah.
All these years, if you're to put a gun to my head, I would say half the fan base, you'd be lying, dear listeners. You said otherwise. I swear half the fan base would say that Paulie signed something.
It doesn't say, Ryan. So it's up to the audience to interpret it either way. And they don't specify. So we're left to wonder.
I actually am more confused now than ever about whose fault within this film this whole thing is.
I think it ultimately is the accountant's fault.
And they do talk about that, how they're going to file this and that against him.
Oh, yeah, because like what the accountant did for sure was a crime.
Okay.
Big time.
So that is talked about.
Like that accountant probably went to prison for that.
Who was the first line of defense before the accountant is the issue here.
Yeah, you would think that Rocky would have it, like that guy that they were meeting with, who I presume is an attorney. You would think that the attorney reviews these documents too.
Yeah.
You know, you would have some kind of fail-safe in there to prevent this situation. This is interesting because this is based on something that happened for real. Like Joe Frazier, who is a Philadelphia fighter who lost all his money, who ended up living on top of a boxing gym, training people till he died his whole life.
Wow.
Lost all his money in shady real estate deals.
That's weird.
Where he signed some shit he shouldn't have signed, and he lost all his money. And his kids actually went to law school to become lawyers to fight for him and to get this money back. But once the money's gone, it's gone. Like this accountant that went to prison, he's probably bankrupt too, because he did some fucked up move where he used Rocky's money to gamble on real estate, and then it didn't go the way he wanted, and now that money's gone. So you can sue him all you want, but you can't get money that's not there.
Yeah, this is just a problematic thing in this movie because they could have very easily explained away how they lose their money in an easier way. Like this is a dumb way of having it happen.
You just gave up our life. And you think it's like some stupid thing? Paulie, do you know what you did?
Oh.
Do you know the seriousness of what
I
you
understand
did?
it.
Do you then
I
answer me?
understand the whole freaking thing, huh? I understand it. You're accountant, the crook, not me. I did what I thought was right. I said, don't blame me for nothing. I want to murder the bum worse than anybody.
Adrian, what's wrong?
Look what you done now.
Okay, so far we're on Paulie's side. We get it. Like he's saying, and I agree with you, Kyle. He's saying what you're saying. It's not me. The accountant's the crook. I want to murder him just like you guys do. He's the one that effed over your finances. So we're all on the same page there. I agree with Paulie. And I agree with you, Kyle, that the cook did the crime or did the dishonest dealings with their finances that didn't work, gambled their finances away.
Yeah, I guess Paulie's culpability is, the question is, did Paulie do something specifically that gave the accountant the ability to fuck?
We still don't know yet. So far,
yeah,
we're about to get it right now. Adrian's about to explain to Rocky, thus the audience. This is where it gets confusing. So by Adrian's explanation to Rocky's just as much in the dark as we are. He only knows what we've heard as an audience. He's only heard that too. Adrian has more information. She's about to share that information to Rocky and us, the audience. So here we go. She's about to explain what Paulie did.
She's dumping everything on me.
Come on, Paulie, don't turn this around on me.
Oh, come on, what'd you do,
He
Paulie?
gave power of attorney to our accountant.
Oh,
Okay.
pause.
Give any.
This is a point for Team Ryan here, where it makes it sound, now that I'm listening, that Paulie is the one who, like, when you say Paulie gave power of attorney to the accountant, that for sure can be interpreted as in Paulie somehow signed this, even though that's like,
how does he have the ability to do that?
He would not. No.
It's never explicitly said, but yes, we infer by their language that Paulie signed something.
Here's the apologetics. We're doing the apologetics for this film. The Balboas between Rockies 3 and 5 gave Paulie some sort of power of attorney to handle this.
Yeah.
Yes, the power of attorney. I don't know if you, like, my mom is like an expert of power of attorney stuff because she did that for her work, so she can comment here. But I don't think you could have a power of attorney that signs another power of attorney.
like an executor of the estate or something, like some other.
So within the film universe, despite what real world rules are, we can just say now that somehow Paulie had the ability to say to this crooked accountant, do what you think is best for the Balboas. I'm going to go have a drink. That's
okay. Thanks. My mom just commented. She's like, you can't do that. You can't have a power of attorney sign a power of attorney.
That power of attorney gives a power of attorney to another power of attorney. All right. So, but again, that's real world mixed in with the movie world. But within the movie world, somehow Paulie had the ability to, because that's what Adrian's saying. Adrian's saying, and I quote, Paulie gave power of attorney to the accountant.
I don't believe her.
This account.
That's what I'm going to say. I don't believe her.
But that's what she's saying to Rocky. And then ... This accountant. And then Paulie says, I just didn't gave anything to know. So Paulie's defending himself because I didn't do what you're saying. So he's still saying that, Kyle. He's still saying, I just didn't give anything to nobody.
Anything to nobody, huh? He sent a letter. He says, we're going to be in Russia for a couple of months. He says, and I need Rocky to sign a tax extension.
Rocky to sign. That was a power of attorney, Paulie.
Now we're back to Paulie thinks he's crooked accountant is like, hey, Paulie, I need your ear. Will you have Rocky sign this tax extension?
Well, what I'm more confused about now, though, is that he sent a letter. See, in my mind, it's like he's like, I could see him coming to Paulie and say, hey, man, I need you to get Rocky to sign this. Could you do it? Knowing that he could use Paulie as a way to get through Rocky's defenses. He sent, like, in writing, please sign this. That's like saying, please sue me later because I have written proof now that...
This is so not Paulie's deal. Does Paulie intercept the mail?
Yes. Yeah, I know. Like, this doesn't make any sense.
But the letter was sent to Paulie. Somehow this accountant knew that Paulie was the one to send this information to, knowing that Paulie isn't too bright when it comes to finances or whatever. And then he tells Paulie, hey, I heard you guys are going to Russia. So I guess it was funny. Paulie's already in Russia. So he got this letter before they left for Russia. Mm-hmm. So this account was on the ball. Made sure the same day delivery mail, maybe same day. Delivery.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Like it was like couriered over. Another thing too that doesn't make sense, and I don't blame Rocky for not knowing this, but Rocky going to Russia has no bearing on whether you need a tax extension.
Mm-hmm. It's odd.
That could be argued, I suppose. But so Paulie is on the payroll. You know, he is supposed to be responsible for errands and this kind of paperwork that I'm too busy to deal with.
No, I think that we're led to believe that. You're right. It's never explained. He's literally family. He's kind of like the gopher administrator. Who knows? Like he handles the bills. Who knows? He was given a letter. He was told this is for tax extension. But Adrian's saying, you were lied to, Paul. You got tricked. It wasn't a tax extension. It was a power of attorney. So Adrian caught that, but she wasn't one that reads the mail. They gave that authority to Paulie to read the mail. Paulie then goes and says, hey, cool. We're going to be in Russia. Good idea. We should have a tax extension. Then what does he do with that letter?
Okay. And I just want to shit on Adrian a bit here because I think she's being, now I'll give her some charity because she's like very emotionally upset right now. And when you're upset, you can not make a ton of sense. But I really dislike that A, she's blaming Paulie for something he really didn't do. And B, what does she do all day? Like, Rocky's the one who earns the income. They have people who are paid to do all the cooking and cleaning and everything else. You think if you had one job would be to maybe take care of stuff like this, the money stuff, the administration, you know what I mean? Like, is all you do all day is like go shopping and like read books or like, what are you doing?
She's
like,
probably on the board of some nonprofits or something. That's probably what Adrian does.
Something like that. And it's like, oh, now you have Paulie taking care of stuff? Like, are you shitting me? Like, you should know better than anyone. He's the last person you'd want to be doing that.
But to answer your question, Ryan, based on that the letter said Rocky needs to sign this, what does Paulie goes to Rocky and says, here's a tax extension form. Sign it.
Yes, that's why I thought.
Right now we're on board that Paulie was lied to by the accountant. Paulie got tricked. Adrian's saying this was for power of attorney, Paulie, not a tax extension. Now, do we ever find out who signed it? That's what we don't know.
It's never explicitly said, but we have to infer.
Well, the accountant is asking for Rocky to sign it, and
it must have been signed.
Yes, it must have been signed by Rocky because otherwise the accountant, if Paulie could sign it, the accountant would say, hey, I need you to sign this.
But he actually asked for Rocky's signature, doesn't he?
And what we know about powers of attorney is that you actually have to have the person in question sign the document, right?
I suppose if in this world, as part of Paulie's duties, he's probably coming to have Rocky sign things all of the time. And maybe it is his job to vet whatever is, like just with like a CEO, like their assistant comes in and has them sign a bunch of stuff. They don't read what it is. They assume their assistant has done that legwork. And so maybe that's what they're assuming Paulie should have.
My argument is that's your job, Adrian, because you don't have any other job. You don't do anything else. This should be something like you should be involved in your family's finances because it's not like Paulie has any special knowledge or education on this.
This is why Rocky V. This could take us forever. Well, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
This movie is just, there's so much. It's insanity. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being critical because I don't like it. It's bonkers. That's the word. It's just bonkers.
Yes. This whole situation's messed up. And like we're going to see later, they're coming up with all these ways on how Rocky can't get his money back. They're trying real hard to sell this situation. This is poorly done. Like, this doesn't make any sense.
You know, Kyle, I know you're in finance. Ryan, you're a smart guy. How would you have written this to explain away how they come back from Russia and they lose all their money? What would be a far easier way to explain to a bunch of dummies?
What you could do is something very similar to this, but you don't have the power of attorney involved. What you could say is that Rocky had an investment advisor who was an idiot or who was like shady and said, hey, Rocky, you should invest in all this stuff. Don't trust me on this. This is going to work out.
Yep.
This is like money in the bank. And then he does it and it doesn't work out. Say he leveraged, meaning that you not only do you invest your own money, but you borrow a bunch of money to invest too. And so say he leveraged the house, he leveraged everything, and then this investment didn't go through. And it puts it on Rocky, though. That's the only difference. Is it this case, it puts it on Paulie or the accountant or something? But
well, either way, it doesn't have to be Paulie's fault. Like the rest of the movie, they don't keep blaming Paulie for it. You know, it's just, oh, well, we lost our house.
Well, I just asked ChatGPT to give me another scenario where Rocky could lose money in Rocky V than what the one was given in the film. And it says, I won't read the whole thing, but it basically gives the idea here that he's asked to put a large portion of his savings to open a chain of boxing gyms or sports-related businesses. Initially, the venture looks promising. Everyone's excited. He invests heavily in this venture, hoping that it'll be new legacy for him outside the ring. However, due to poor business management, corruption, and rising costs, the venture begins to collapse. Rocky, having little business experience and too much faith in people around him, doesn't see the warning signs until it's too late. He loses all his money and declares bankruptcy, long story short.
Yeah.
Similar. It's an investment that went bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd have to be something where funnel all your finances into this huge venture. So this was like a huge boxing business like chain.
Yeah.
It could be a corrupt like a Ponzi scheme. There you go.
Yeah. A Ponzi scheme is another great, like a Bernie Madoff type of thing.
Yeah.
This happens. Well, this happens all the time, especially with pro athletes, because pro athletes tend on average not to do traditional investments. A lot of pro athletes tend to do risky investments. They try and outdo each other in investments. They often don't have any background in this whatsoever. They get taken advantage of all the time. I need alcohol.
He's the thief. I need alcohol. Rock, on my eyes, I never stole a freaking dime.
True. You never did.
I'm on your side, buddy. I've never been more supportive of Paulie than any moment in this franchise. Yeah. Poor Paulie. He's getting railroaded here.
The thing, like you said, though, with Adrian, you're right that she needs a punching bag. Excuse the pun.
Yeah.
They just found out they lost all their money, and Paulie's somewhat involved in that. It's not all his fault, but it's also Rocky's fault. Maybe they have a discussion later, like Rocky, you messed up too, but we don't see it filmed.
True.
It just happened off screen. But right now, Adrian, she is, and actually wonderfully acted by Talia Shire. The idea is that she is just floored. Because right now in her brain, she knows this house is even ours that I'm fighting.
It's incomprehensible. Yeah.
Like imagine that. Imagine if you found out though. Like obviously none of us are nearly as wealthy as
but I own a home. It'd be terrifying.
Yeah, imagine if you got a letter one day saying, hey, by the way, all your retirement savings, your house, your vehicle, everything you own is gone. And you're going to have to move into a low rental apartment in some shitty part of town. And your kid is going to have to go to some garbage school or he's going to get beat up all the time.
No, yeah.
Like, that would be rough.
Yeah.
Huh? What's gone?
The money, everything, it's all gone.
All right, we'll stop it there. That's tense.
Well, we also see Robert is witnessing this from the staircase or something. So he was just tucked into bed, and he got out to listen to it.
Here's yelling and shit, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever experienced this in childhood when like you're put to bed or something like that, and then your parents fight, get in an argument, and like you're listening in on their argument, but they don't know you're listening. I think it's pretty common.
The fighting that was happening, Robert heard it, poor kid. He just got tucked in by his dad. Everything seemed gravy. They're going to play tomorrow. No, we're selling our stuff tomorrow. It's like
you got a bunch of stuff I didn't have. 1 minute later.
Yeah. Poor kid. Do you think he went back to Madame Dupont after though? A little stress.
Oh man, yeah. You gotta you have to just rub one out to release the stress and then go to sleep. Madame Dupont's gonna take care of him.
He's gotta laminate it. All right. Okay.
I don't like the idea that other people are doing trivia for Katie because it's not really fair to her. What if we just doubled up the questions?
Kyle's a sweetheart. I'm a hard baller.
Well, because I told Ryan he has to get somebody good at trivia.
You know what we could do, Katie? Because I know Katie's honest to a fault. I trust you totally. So what we'll do is when you listen to the episode that you missed, play along, and we'll accept your score. We'll still have the guests play along for fun. But well,
we should have done this from the very beginning then. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, it probably would have come out the same. It would have been a wash.
Who knows what it would have been. But
Katie, I need you to sign this document that allows other people to do trivia for you.
Trivia for me. They take over my spot as co-host. We lost everything.
No one can replace. Like I said, it takes two of those guys to replace you. Trust me. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Who says time to put some hustle behind this muscle? Kyle, what'd you put?
George Washington Duke.
Yes, I believe you've ever got that. Okay. So 1-1-1. Okay. What animal does Rocky say he looks like? Well, we just saw it. I can't imagine any of us got that wrong.
Rocky Raccoon.
Okay. What is the promoter's name? Is it
George Washington Duke?
This one. The next question is how much money does George Washington Duke give Tommy?
How much money does he give Tommy?
At the Christmas party.
I have a number in my head, but I'm not confident.
Okay, so I've got I'll go first because I think I'm wrong. So,
wait, I got to lock a number in.
What was the fight in Japan supposed to be called?
I'm finally going to catch up to Katie in this one now.
I don't know if I got the right amount of money.
That's the only one I'm not sure about. Every other one I'm actually, I feel like 3 is a trick question or 8 for you.
Okay, well, let's just go to it. So I'm going to say right now for the, before I look at the answers, I want to say I have 2. All these years, it wasn't until our discussion, Kyle, on the last episode where we talked about what he said. I always thought he was making the statement something about Galactico and Tokyo.
I thought it was like Kaletniko, as in like that's a arena name or something like that.
So the answer is, according to our discussion, so I'm trusting you, Kyle, because you just saw the movie, was Letting It Go in Tokyo.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down. Letting It Go in Tokyo.
I will admit, had we not already watched that scene, I wouldn't have gotten that.
That's what I mean. I would have said it was Galactico.
Yeah,
I would have been.
Galactico was like, to me, like some sort of like
like an arena or something.
No, like like a Japanese fighting monster.
Okay.
Yeah, Galactico, like galactic with an O. I thought that's what it was meaning, was some sort of
that kind of tracks.
It says time to put hustle behind the muscle. That was George Washington Duke. Raccoon. George Washington Duke.
Okay, thank God. I'm like, oh shit, is there a company name? I'm like, am I getting screwed here? Because
I got my number wrong, but I want to hear your guys's.
I have 2 numbers.
I'll give you mine. I think it's 20,000.
I'm between 10 and 30.
Okay, so Kyle, you're the only one that got it right. 20.
It's 20. Oh, nice. Okay, so
wow, I put 5, and I knew that was too low. But I was like, it's 1990. 5,000. I know.
Yeah, that's why I sort of was like, was it 10? 30? Yeah,
I have a perfect record in Rocky 5 so
That's
far.
Nice.
Well, this is your favorite movie.
Film? Yeah. It's your favorite film.
Okay, so each of you got 4, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah, it was Letting It Go in Tokyo. That was the answer. Wait, okay. Awesome stuff, guys. So I don't know who our guest host will be next recording, because officially at the time of this recording, Moody and Gru have not gotten back to me. I'm standing by for that. If it's not them, it will be somebody. This episode is over.
I didn't hear no bell.
I just want to say